Well, once again, we're here. Daniel and Mario, two conscious men just talking like we always talk. And who knows where we go, because I definitely don't ever know. And Daniel doesn't know. So, uh, always, we do welcome questions or anything like that. So, you are more than welcome to send us some questions down below on our YouTube channels, or sometimes when we post them on Facebook, you're welcome to post on there too.
Hmm.
But, well, today, my mind is completely blank. I'll be honest with you. So,
Yeah, I'm a little tired, but feeling good and relaxed, which is nice.
yeah, I went to the pool yesterday, and it's it's amazing how healing water is, or relaxing it is. It's very meditative, and even when people are around, it's like I just feel very, very at peace in water. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is, but it just has a certain the flowy feeling of it, I guess. It's what gets me kind of relaxed and everything.
I agree. I actually went in a hot tub and a sauna and swimming at the gym,
Hmm.
and it just felt so good. Just, yeah, they say our bodies are meant for water. Um, I've read this is why I think we're so comfortable in it. I mean, if you look at kids, they like love water.
Hmm.
It's like they went into like this other realm or something where they just feel amazing. And I guess we've always lived by water too,
Yeah.
you know, until now because we can transport water, but which is not the best move. But I live in Denver, so I can't really say, "Oh, don't live where you're not supposed to live."
Well, I mean, we were originally nomads, so we moved from one place to another, and the I always like the analogy. We complain about, oh, this disaster was really bad, or this, and it really is. The only reason it's bad is because we're no longer nomads, so we're kind of stuck in our place. And yeah, because we don't move around like before. We were able to just move around. But
Right. I mean, we could talk about that because I've been kind of nomadic a little
Mhm.
bit, mostly here, but it's funny because I moved out of my house and then it burnt down like 2 weeks after I moved out.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man,
which
is this
is
the one recently, or
no, I mean,
before?
I'm in the new one, but I moved out before my trip because I don't have much stuff
Hmm.
because I want to be able to move. And then, um, yeah, it burned down. So it's funny, like our intuition tells us to go. And I remember meeting this lady Ubering once who talked about she always moved away right before natural disasters. And
Mm.
birds do it,
Yeah, they
animals
do.
do it, so we probably can do it, right? If we felt, but we're stuck, like you said, which isn't wrong, but like I'm sure there's something hitting in us, right? Because the Earth's
Yeah.
moving. It's not like we couldn't detect that change of
Mhm.
frequency or magnetic pulse and then jump intuitively from that.
Well, and that's the whole thing, though, isn't it? I mean, that paying attention. Once again, it comes back to the same old thing over and over again. Are we paying attention? And if we accumulated all this stuff, also, it makes it very hard to move. I mean, I've been simplifying more and more, and I think that's what's going on. I think a lot of the people are starting to learn to trim down. Of course, others are going just the opposite, but it's whatever lesson we're in. But I think at least the people around me are starting to trim down what they have, and a lot of them just seem more at peace with less stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
think and I think that's the goal, isn't it? I mean, because the stuff is usually just filling up a need, something inside. It's like, oh, I don't have this, or I don't. We're trying to find some satisfaction. Because I remember when I was making decent amount of money, it's like I was just buying stuff, but never realizing it's like, am I really happy?
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't even, I mean, you can make a bunch of money and be a minimalist too, but I think it's just, does it bring you joy? Like I was going to show them today. I buy like models and paint them,
Hmm.
but they're super expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really expensive, but it brings me joy. So that purchase I'm gonna build them, I'm gonna read about them, I'm gonna paint them. I mean, it's gonna be hours. I mean, if you contract like the, 5 models might cost $50, but it's gonna take me 20, 30, 50
Mhm.
hours to paint all those models and create it. So like really, it's not that expensive
Right.
for hourly rate of entertainment. Um, but I'm just justifying what I'm doing. I just love doing it. But it doesn't bring you joy, right? But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that play this Warhammer game that I play, and they have so many models. They have like
Mhm.
extras and extras that they've never painted or even opened. Now that is when they're not buying it for joy; they're buying it from an addiction, and you can see the difference. And
Mhm.
do you need it, right? Are you doing it for the joy of it, or are you doing it to fill a void within you, buying it every week, right? I
Yeah.
only buy the models that I can paint, and then I paint them all, then I get more. But that's
Mhm.
really rare. And I think that's just, if you put that the whole world, people just buy stuff they don't need constantly.
Yeah, it's funny you brought up video games because I was thinking about that. We seem to be on the same wavelength. So I'm getting into a game. It's not out yet, but it's called Cyberpunk 2077,
Hmm.
and I'm in this group, and a lot of the people there, it are more about. It's like, oh, it's like I want a better graphics card, or I should buy a whole new computer to play this game. And there's some people asking there, what kind of computer should I get? And a lot of them, some of them say, oh, get the latest and greatest. And it made me really see a lot because I posted what I thought of, and I go, you know what? It's like I've been doing this for 25 years. It's like, and really find what makes you happy. It's like if because they're talking. I'll get a little technical, but they're talking about the high resolution, like 4K and 1080p and all that kind of stuff. And I go, in actuality, the human eye can't see more than 4K. And really, if you just go by what you want, that'll determine how much money you need to spend. So as long as we don't follow those trends and just be happy with what we want, that's all that really matters. I mean, I don't have the latest and greatest game. I have a PlayStation 4, which, if I bought a computer for gaming, I would have the latest. But it makes me happy, and that's what I mean about the people that want this latest and greatest. It's like, okay, I don't really need that. That doesn't make me happy. It's like what makes me happy is just being able to play the game. I don't know. I went off on a little rant there, so I apologize.
Right. The experience makes you happy. It's not
Yes,
a
thank you.
competition of having the best. And it just all depends, on each person, what they want and what they
Yeah.
desire, what makes them happy. But really questioning, like, does keeping this give me joy? Does keeping
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I sold some of my models before I left on this trip because they weren't giving me joy. I wasn't excited. I was excited to paint this one model, and once I painted it, I wasn't excited anymore. And then I sold it for more than I made, and I gave it to someone that was excited. And
Yeah.
that opened the door for me to get more models that I was actually excited about because this new thing came out. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
and also being willing to get rid of stuff when we don't need it. But that would create much more flowy society if people weren't just holding on to stuff in boxes, that they don't need.
Yeah, that's the part that I have, and I talked about it on the show before. It's like just getting rid of stuff is sometimes so liberating. I
Hmm.
mean, it really does weigh emotionally down, and I hadn't realized that, and I love talking about that because it really showed my attachment. It's like I went from a 3,500 square foot house, and now I have a condo that's 920 square feet, and I had to get rid of stuff. And I didn't want to get rid of stuff. So my place was in shambles for a while. I mean, I had boxes everywhere. It was crazy. Uh, Luckily, I had enough closet space where I threw stuff in, and I still had a couple boxes outside in the living room and everything. But I would open up the closet, and I couldn't even walk into my closets.
Right.
Yeah. So and then I started finally getting rid of stuff, and as each thing was being let go, it's like wow, it's like that's. That's awesome. It's like I felt a release, a weight lifted. It's incredible.
Yeah. No, I mean, the external reality reflects your internal reality. So if get rid of stuff, then you like open up to receive more stuff, right? You're letting go of what doesn't serve you. And usually when you do the internal work, then the external work reflects it.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, it just makes life easier. One, I was never organized and never really clean. And then I lived in a tent and I was organized and clean. And I was like, what's the difference? And I was like, oh, there's just less stuff to organize. Like, it just became easier.
Yeah.
And I know people that organize people's houses. What do? They just get rid of a bunch of stuff because you can't organize with a bunch of stuff. It's just, it'll take you forever, right? And you're never going to keep it organized. But, and it just depends who, you know, if you own a house, like I live with people who own their house, they obviously have to have more stuff, right? You have to have things in the house, like silverware. And I appreciate that because I don't have it. And then I move into a house and then it's already pre-furnished, but I end up getting cheaper rent in easier places because I have less stuff, which is funny because a lot of people want to keep their stuff, which is perfect. But yeah, if a thing doesn't bring you joy anymore, my rule is if I haven't used something for 6 months, I get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like with the desk I have and the chair we talked about, I moved and I just didn't want to deal with it. So I just left it there. I was like, someone else will use this chair and desk. And most people would bring it and store it. And I was like, that's like 5 hours worth of work. I'm like, I don't want to do it. It'll be cheaper for me to just buy a new one. And then, yeah, well, it burns down, unfortunately. But then I got another desk and a chair. It's like you think you can't replace these things if you get rid of them. That's like the funniest part.
Well, and I think I mean, the stuff that happened with you, it's like the house burning down. It's like, it's interesting that we're listening. The universe is telling you what you need to do. And now, I mean, even now, it's kind of interesting representation. The house burnt with some of your stuff, some of your old stuff there. So it's like you're being rejuvenated. You're like the phoenix now. And not you didn't burn down, but some of your old stuff is now. And now all of a sudden here's a new desk for you. I think that whole new symbolism of that energy burnt down and now it's being released to wherever it goes. And now it's allowed to be created even more or even more perfect for you, whatever that is. So I always find it fascinating. There's always correlations to everything. And with the shamanic work, it's to me, it's very symbolic. You know, there's always symbolism in things. That's why I'm a big believer in animal medicine. And, you know, if an animal comes in front of you, usually there's some meaning behind it. That meaning is all interpretive to everybody. And you can get a book that tells you this or that. But to me, it's always, what does that animal represent to you? And that's what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah. It's funny because I've had deer come a lot. And to the point where I was thinking in my head and I looked over and there was like a buck, like, I don't even think it was like 10 feet away. And I was like, and it was on a hike that's pretty popular. So probably it was used to it. But yeah, what I learned from deer is it's okay to run away. Like it's okay to like leave the wrong situation, which kind of coincides with this, right? Running away from a fire.
Yeah.
But we think, what I read this somewhere, someone said it like a high pro, maybe it was Brent Chard, a coach, but you know, it's quitting things is okay. Quitting the wrong things is almost more important than anything else.
Yeah.
And deer do that, right? They're just like, well, screw this. And they run away. And they kind of do it in this nonchalant way, like, oh, we're just not going to deal with this. Let's go over here. Which is a great skill set to have because a lot of times that's just easier than trying to make something work, right? Make the relationship work. Like if you're in a relationship and it's not working and you're fighting all the time, like you will be much better leaving each other. And it might not be easy, but you know, the deer kind of says that. I
mean, even then in a relationship, I mean, in our society right now, it's oh, it's this or that, and we never stay in the gray area. And like with my relationship I had, it's like we're no longer a couple, but we're still friends. And
Right.
there's still that option. Some people can do it, some people can't. But if you can, I mean, you grow from that too. It's kind of amazing. And back to what you were talking about, it's like the sometimes you gotta let go of things. The Richard Branson, he's he's big on that because they interviewed him and they asked him. It's like, well, he's the one that does Virgin Airlines and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
For the people that don't know him, and in the interview, they asked him what was one of the most successful things that you did, and he said the most successful things that I've done is know to is be able to get rid of things when I don't feel them anymore. If I don't feel they're aligned for me, it's like I'm not afraid to get rid of it. There's no attachment for me. So the company, I just let it go. And he says that has been the best because that opens up so many other things. Exactly what you're talking about, and just in a relationship sense.
Right. Yeah, because holding on to a relationship that's not working or whatever, a thing,
Yeah, the
like,
thing. Yeah, whatever.
or it doesn't matter, doesn't open up for the new thing, right? That could
Hmm.
be better. And if you're holding on to them, you're actually keeping them from the better thing. So
Yeah,
really it's an unselfish thing to break up with someone and let it go if it's not working,
yeah,
which is a hard lesson for me because I'm used to holding on to things. And relationships, it's funny with things, it's easy, but like intimate relationships, like holding on to them and then thinking I need to like keep them going, even though
yeah,
but relationships just flow in and out. And if we like realize that, it'd be easier. And you don't have that much room for that many people. Like a lot of people like try to hold on to 20 people, and it's like that's not possible. Like you probably can only keep one or two, like maybe
yeah,
four good friends, and that's about it. And then everything else is kind of where they're if you're with them.
yeah.
Um, or you just become tired holding on to all these things.
Yeah, it's exhausting. That's a lot of work keeping up all the relationships like that. It's like,
Mhm.
and that's where the true being in the flow helps. We talk about being in the flow in life and everything like that, but it's not only to free our spirit. I mean, it just makes life so much easier. It it allows it to just move through, and if you let go of that, and relationships, I think everybody struggles, especially for intimate relationships. It is one of those things that we're I mean, we have our heart invested in it, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, this is no longer going to work. It's like, holy crap, and we are trying to hold on to this, and it's like, what are we going to do? And uh but when we let it go, it's like, wow, it's like a whole nother branch of the tree grows out, which is
Right.
pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it might come back. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the funny thing. Like the universe will put you with the people perfect time. And it could be that you date someone, then you're friends, then you date again. Or it could be that you don't. And then,
Something else comes along the way. I mean, that's the other
yeah.
part.
But we take it so personally. Like, if, so I was in a relationship and now kind of dating someone else, and I can feel the flow is perfect. I'm like, oh, who knows what'll happen? And so many people are like, I need to meet this one soulmate, or I need to meet this person, or I need to meet this, to the point people like I'm talking to my soulmate somewhere else and I met them. I'm like, oh my God, like you sound crazy. Like let's get a little grounded and like go back down and be like, okay, I'm just seeing this person now. I don't know what'll happen. And to the point where I just open it up that even any friends that I have could become intimate relationships. And I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm open to
Mhm.
all possibilities. But I don't have expectations how it's gonna go, which makes it so much better
Yeah.
because you don't know how it's going to go. And really what we do is we make a story about that person, I mean the one, and then when they're not, we get heartbroken. But if we
Mhm.
were just like, I'm just going to date this person to like see how it goes, and then it stops working, you wouldn't be that heartbroken
Yeah.
because your expectations wouldn't be this is what it's going to be, or this is how they're going to be, and this is how it's going to end up. Like I was in a relationship that had a lot of fighting, and then we grew a lot
Mhm.
together, and then I was like, oh, let's go this way.
Yeah.
It didn't break my heart too much. I didn't have much expectations. I was like, okay, well, it didn't work. Cool. It'd be like going into a science experiment and getting angry if the science experiment didn't work.
And
And you'd be like, oh, you're like, no, try another experiment.
the expectations. I mean, that is the key word. Expectations. We expect something out of everything. It's like there's I buy a new phone, I expect it to do this. I get into a new relationship, I expect this. And that's where I feel a lot of those things happen. That's where it's downhill when you start something with an expectation. If the moment you have an expectation, that means that that especially in a relationship, that person needs to meet that expectation. And the reality is you can't make anybody do something that they're not or do or whatever. So that expectation, if it's not them, it's never going to happen.
Right. And that's even with like, yeah, with the relationships, friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you can't leave because you're almost what happens, and I've done this a million times, so I'm an expert at it. If you expect them to be the one or think this is really the relationship, you're going to stay in it if it's not working,
Mm-hmm.
which is also not good. So you're like, this company's this way I'm working is going to be the one thing I'm going to do forever, like,
Mm-hmm.
and which is a relationship. But then what if it wants to morph over here? The universe is like, but just turn a little bit left.
Yeah.
And you're setting the direction. I'm not saying not to expect things to go well, but like maybe that's the case, right? Or if you go to a flight and it's delayed, and then you're like, oh, I expected to be there. I was driving for Monday morning, which is really random. I haven't done it in a while, but maybe for the story. And I met this guy, and his flight was delayed, and he had a meeting, and you could tell he was just getting frustrated. He
Mm-hmm.
was just like, oh, I'm supposed to be at this meeting, like nothing's going right. And I was just like, well, and I blessed him. I'm like, I hope, things turn out better for you. And he was exhausted. And part of me was like, well, I told him this, like, you'll get some extra rest now that you don't have to be at this other meeting. Like, kind of like playing with him, like, you're exhausted, dude. Like, the universe is giving you a break. You can't do anything about this.
Yeah.
Why are you getting upset? And you could tell he just changed, because, like, when you don't have expectations and you just know things are working out fine, like this morning getting locked out of the house.
Yeah.
Funny. So I was meditating, and I was going to go back inside and meditate, but I'm like,
Uh,
why am I not hanging outside and meditating? And I locked myself out, and I was like, well, I'm locked out here. I might as well enjoy it and meditate outside. And it got warm and the sun was shining on me. It's actually what I needed.
mm.
And then I got in the house anyway. So, but I didn't like get so frustrated, because I was like, well, this is what's happening. Let's just flow with it. Obviously next time I'm going to unlock the door and be more mindful, but like I didn't think, right? Because I just moved in this house. So it's just,
Well,
it's so much that way.
if we break it down too, I mean, if you had been frustrated of getting in, just imagine how much stress that would have created on you. And because this happened, now you learned the lesson out of it. It's like, oh no, I'll make sure that this is not done or this is unlocked or whatever. But that's the way I look at things. People ask me, it's like, how do I look at things? And that's exactly why I don't get aggravated too much, because I see it, it's like, okay, so I locked myself out. What did I learn from this? And as weird as that sounds, it's like there's always a lesson in everything. And as long as I don't get frustrated with it, it it's I start laughing at it, because you gotta laugh at it, because it's funny that we do these things. Because even a habitual thing like unlocking a door, sometimes it's so habitual we forget to do it.
Right. Yeah. And that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a weird fear of failure, because if things don't go right, then I am a bad person. Like that's, or I did something wrong, which isn't
Mhm.
really true. Like
No.
you could have started a business that you thought was going to work. It didn't, but you learned a bunch of things, and then you go to this one. Eckhart Tolle says about relationships, it's good to have 3 really bad ones to have 1 really good one, because you learn. I learned from, I jumped in a bunch of relationships over and over again too quickly, and it
Mhm.
was too much time. And now I'm seeing someone else because I've been dating, and then I'm seeing them once or twice a week and not talking to them every day. Finally learned the lesson from jumping in over and over again. And then that feels good. So it's just funny that we like beat ourselves up. Like, I hear this time, I need to break my patterns and I need to change what I'm doing. And that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe just say what you're doing right and that you're perfect and that
Yeah.
everything's going to be fine. And if you say that, your patterns will actually change. But beating yourself up and trying to fix yourself has never worked for anyone.
Yeah.
Not good path to take. Unless you
Well,
want to.
when yeah, and there are some people out there that do like that, so
Right.
they rather take the most roughest part of the journey in their life, and it's like, you know what, more power to you. I've been down that road. It's like I don't want that anymore, because I suffered, the with my business. It's like at the very beginning it looked this way and that way, and that was the only way to do. And then I went to all these business seminars, and to me, business right now is changing. Also, there's the old philosophy of put out a business plan, do this and do that. And now to me, it's more flowy. It's like you adapt to the environment. And in my business, I started with this is all it's going to be, and I was going to change it. And then the universe kept on pushing me further, and it's like, no, this isn't working. No, this isn't working. I said, but this works. This works. And finally, when I just let it go and go, it's like, all right, what's the next step? Oh, go into that industry. Okay, okay, okay. And then all of a sudden, everything just kind of flowed. And because I allowed all that to come in, it was very easy to go through that change. Now, every day, it's like if something if comes up, it's like, all right, it's not within my parameters, but hey, it's like I'll figure it out. We'll try it.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, finding the flow within everything just makes it easier,
Mm-hmm.
like at its, core. And then, yeah, with the way technology and everything is and just the world, if you're not flowy and you like think this is the way it's going to be forever, I mean, that worked in like the 50s to the 80s because
Uh-huh.
things didn't, I mean, they changed obviously, but
Yeah.
like once the 90s hit and technology hit, like
Yeah,
it's a
it was
whole
just a
different
disaster.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is expectations though. I had those expectations. Oh, well, everybody tells me that this is the way to run a business. But the biggest thing I got out of that is, yeah, but nobody's telling me how to. They're all running it based on the way they ran their business. But how am I going to run my business? So that talk about taking ownership of my path. I mean, because we rely on all these experts. I mean, even now, it's like people that are listening to us. Oh, they might say, oh, they've been through all of this and all that. We're not the experts. We've just been through it, and we're talking to you from our perspective.
Right.
And it's up to the individual to come up with their perspective. And if they're overly expecting something, then realize that you have that and remove that or do whatever or adapt to it in the way that you do that, not the way we do it. We can give you examples of how we did it, but there's so many ways of doing it. It's not our only way.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, and you got to take what you take from people, then see what it works. Because for
Mm-hmm.
some people, like setting goals works really well. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to do this week. For me, setting goals causes stress and anxiety. I don't know what it is. I just don't like goals. I actually get more done when I don't set goals. It's
Yeah.
really
Same
bizarre.
here.
So I have to set an intention and then just flow with the day and see where it ends up. And that works better for me because it keeps me in a better place. But there's
Mhm.
business people that you'll see out there that say set goals. You have to have measurable goals. And then there's other business people that I've read that say don't set any goals and
Mhm.
just flow and just have intentions. But you just got to find out what works for you because there's some
Yeah.
people that goals work really well and not having goals would not. Um,
Yeah.
so it's
Just
just funny.
and don't expect anything. I mean, that's the other part. I know as human beings we expect certain things just because of the way our society's structured, but if we can just get rid of those expectations, I really do think that's a very big crutch of us. If we just
Mm,
allow it and just go, you know what, I'll give this a shot. and say that. Don't say, I'm going to try this because this is going to make me more money, or I'm going to do this because that's going to give me the relationship I've been looking for. Just do it because it feels right.
Mhm.
That's all. I mean, that if any tip of everything that I've done, that would be the only thing that I would tell everybody. If it feels right, do it. And yeah, people might say this, might say that, and I'll say that it's like fuck them. It's like, if it
Right.
feels right for you, just do it. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, because the worst case, you're back to where you were, but like doing what feels good, it's always going to end up better than doing what
Mhm.
other people think is best for you.
Yeah.
And if a teacher is telling you that, like, I know the answers, then that's not very well, unless they're helping you find your own, it's not a really good way to go, because once then you're dependent on them. And
Yeah.
there is great business in making people dependent on you and saying you
Oh
need a
yeah.
mentor and all this stuff. And I don't disagree. Mentors are good, having someone to bounce stuff off of. But also, you have to trust yourself and do it yourself at some point. It'd be
Mhm.
like riding a bike with training wheels your whole entire life and never taking them off.
Yeah. But that comes back to another thing. I mean, it requires some confidence in our part. I mean, we really have to know, then feel comfortable with that. That's the other part about all of this. Because that's the part the reason I was going to a lot of experts for a lot of this stuff was because I wasn't confident. And of course, this is my situation. It might be different for other people. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I wasn't confident in myself. It's like I wasn't trusting myself. It's like, well, they have a successful business. Yeah, I should do what they're doing. Or it's like, oh, look at them. Look how popular they are. Oh, let me do that. And that kind of stuff. And finally, I realized, you know what? This is who I am. And if I don't like that, I'm not going to do that. And that carried, as that I started getting into that within myself, my business also started going with that route. It's like, my business feels comfortable here. So I'll do that. And all these experts tell me, oh, you do it this way, do it that way. It's like, no, it's like I feel confident in this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and knowing yourself. And I think that's the confidence is important, but
Yeah.
that comes from knowing yourself. Like for
Yes.
me, I can't do one thing at a time. And actually, if you ever looked at human design, I'm not supposed to as a manifester. Like it's actually horrible for my system. And I had business coaches that are like, do this one program, just do this. And I would go nuts, like doing one thing. So I will Uber, delivery drive, run a program, and then perform two, and then do all this other thing. Like
Hmm.
doing 4 or 5 different things excites me.
Hmm.
But for some people, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
So that's fine. It's just how I function. It helps me create. Like I would paint, write an article, and play a video game all at the same time. And I jump back and forth, and it works for me. It's just like, but for someone else, that
Yeah.
would distract them, and they would they couldn't do that because I actually am feeling the flow of jumping. But
Hmm.
that's how I live my life. I'm always jumping somewhere. So, um, but that's knowing myself,
Hmm.
which is clarity right now. But then it's like, well, okay, so how do you function? And
Yeah.
then, so for as like from a coaching standpoint or healing, like I want you to find what works for you, not what works for me, because that's the mistake coaches make from my
Hmm.
therapy training that I didn't get. Like as therapists will help you find your way, and I think there's some value in coaching, teaching your way too, but there's got to be a combination, because I definitely seen
Hmm.
coaches go the opposite way and they're just pushing their way, and it works for like 10% of their clients. I'm getting clarity about the past, but not for the other 90%, because it's only matching those people, right?
Hmm.
That are like you. But if they're not, it's not going to work. But if you can help them find their own way, then you can help 100% of the people, because maybe one person you're going to help make $1 million company, and one you're going to help make a $40,000 company or 30,000, and you're going to have them move into the woods because they can live that way, right? That's their way of running a business, and they're actually going to have just as much abundance because they don't want the house or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, does that make sense?
To me, it did.
Yeah.
And if anybody has additional questions, they can always put comments.
Right. Right.
But it's, but that is true. The the abundance thing. It's like everybody has their own set of what is for them. I mean, you got the basics. We've talked about this too. You got Maslow's hierarchy, which is this is what it's required to live. Anything past that, it's different opinions of whatever. And in our society, you have you can be the multi-billionaire out there that has their own jets, and you can be an individual that's homeless if you want to be. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's homeless because they choose to be, but
Sure.
sometimes situations like that, but we have options, and it's a matter of what option we want.
Right. Yeah, and what is success for you, right? And I ask that
Mhm.
question to myself a lot, and then having that unfold for you, because for me, making $3,000 to $5,000 a month is a lot. Like, I'm paying off debt at that point,
Mhm.
like, and I'm paying off things, and I don't have much left because it's going away. But like, that stuff's all going away at that point, because I had this moment, and I was like, oh, I want more or whatever, make more money, and I was like, that'd be cool.
Mhm.
And then I asked myself, what would I actually want more than I have now?
Mhm.
And I was like, not really anything. Like, it was kind of just this funny joke where I was like, I'm kind of good. There are some things I'm like creating, but like, I kind of have more than I need right now. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, so I'm actually abundant. That's cool. So it was like funny. We think that more and more is going to make us happy. And by actually saying you don't need more and good where you're at, you're going to get more, which is just the ironic.
Yes.
People think, oh, I have to like have these like crazy desires and push forward to get where I want to go. I'm like, actually, if you're good where you're at, you would like just move slowly to where you wanted to go with ease, right? It wouldn't be
Mhm.
so difficult.
Yeah. That's that always has surprised me. The Once we really look at what we have, we think that we don't have anything, and we look around. It's like we always have so much stuff. We do, and it is just a matter of recognizing it, because the value of the things we have might not be valuable to us in a certain way, but it is valuable in a way because obviously you wouldn't have had it for a reason down
Mm.
the road. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and just being satisfied, with what is going great, and
Hmm.
then from that, everything else will just unfold.
Yes.
It's We're so taught to like push forward to make our lives better, which is not, we're gonna do that naturally. You
Hmm.
don't need to try to make your life better. That's just the human nature, right? That's what animals do
Hmm.
too. Like, they evolve. Like, we're just going to evolve naturally, like a flower grows. So you don't have to try to do that.
Hmm.
You don't have to like motivate yourself with masochicism and punishment and working on yourself. You can just be like, oh, like, well, I'm paying my bills and I live in this place and I got this car, and it's whatever's satisfying in your life. And just, I get to do art. This is amazing. And then from that, everything will just grow naturally.
You know, and now, like always our time. I always enjoy these times, but man,
Mm.
uh, we're running short on time now. So the flow is always with us, is always moving. We might start off a little bit slow, but hey, we seem to always end it up really well.
Yep.
Um, so let's. We've been doing the challenges for today. Let's. I want to change that up. Do something different, and
Okay.
let's see. How about? Is there? Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one to think about. How about we do something along the lines of where? Well, let's be kind of a little bit more open. It's like I'll share one of the things that I'm kind of struggling with and how I'm working with it, and if you feel free to share. But I'll do that for my. I'll start off since there was my idea here to do
You're
this.
right.
So for me, I'm moving through working more creative. I've been more in this logical space of computers. And while, yes, I am creative in certain ways, I feel I reached that point of, it's like there has to be another way to tap into that deeper creativity. And this is where you and I are going to be working together too. So, but
Yeah.
you're going to help me out with some of that because I feel you're very creative. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, creativity is really where I'm. That's my cat. You see her tail. She wants to be on video. Well, not so much. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, where am I? Being more consistent and grounded is the thing I'm
Mm-hmm.
cultivating, which is super fun. Um, which is new because I'm usually all over the place. So it's like, okay, let's see if I can balance myself out, right? It's like I
Mm-hmm.
was in a video game and I've got my strength all the way up, but now I need to get my magic up, right? It's fine. It's not like a bad thing. It's not my strength, but it's like, oh, okay. But it kind of is. And then, yeah, just by being grounded and slowing down, which I'm really enjoying, which is helping me create.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of ironic where it's like, oh, I can create all these things from this space
Mm-hmm.
and more following that flow instead of pushing forward for what I want. So what I was teaching, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can just stay, I can just be okay exactly where I'm at. Like my guide said to milk the moment, like milk where you're at for all it's worth. And it was like, oh yeah. Because I move so much and I like jump that it's like, it's easy to go, okay, I got to figure out the next step because literally my consistency is like 4 months, then I got to find a place. But it's like, no, enjoy where you're at. And then I've learned over time that the next step will just unfold when it's supposed to. So I can just really just be where I'm at and know it's going to work out, whatever that is, right? So yeah, just being more grounded and consistent. And it's not really that hard. It's funny because you think these things are hard and then you do them and it's like, oh, I was already good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already there. We just need to find it in us because it's lost somewhere in this area.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. And thank you, audience, for always being here with us. Comment, like, share, and just let people know about our show.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And thank you, audience. And I will see you next time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.